Welcome to Not Your Average Neighbor, the podcast celebrating inspiring individuals and the amazing work they do in our community. I'm Ann Roushar, your host, inviting you to join me as we shine a light on stories of resilience, connection, and good news. Let's build a neighborhood that uplifts and inspires, one story at a time. Roushar, not your average neighbor, not your average realtor, coming to you with my first episode of the second season. I was actually going to wear these as I was saying that. And so I'm so excited that we are here today together. We are celebrating another great season of Not Your Average Neighbors in Cedar Rapids, outside of Cedar Rapids, internationally, actually, because my amazing virtual assistant Jace was on last year. So yeah, we're international. So today, now I have to put these back on because, I got to see when I read. Today we are meeting a not your average neighbor, and her name is Katie Giorgio. And she is a freelance writer, editor, and nonprofit professional living and working in her hometown of Cedar Rapids. She got her start writing concert reviews for the Cedar Rapids Gazette while in college and has written for WashingtonPost.com, BHG.com, and U.S. News and World Report. An inspiring children's book author, Katie is a member of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and you can learn more about her at katiemillsgiorgio.com. Please help me welcome Katie.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I didn't realize I'm helping you kick off season 2. Congratulations.
Yes. No pressure,
cool.
no pressure.
No pressure.
But we are really going to just dig into all the good things that Cedar Rapids has to offer. And I'm so excited that you can help me kick off season 2. So what I like to do first is kind of go a trip down memory lane of how I was introduced to you. And actually it was because of this. 100 Things to Do in Cedar Rapids Before You Die. I was at this cute local spot in Cedar Rapids in Newbo called Scribe. And I was looking for gifts for the holiday season. And I stumbled upon this book and I'm like, oh my God, I need this because I think it would be a great gift for anyone moving to Cedar Rapids. And actually anyone that's living in Cedar Rapids that doesn't know about all the great things that we have to do. So I bought the book. And then I was getting my hair done by the talented and beautiful Stephanie Anderson. And she said, oh yeah, duh, I know her. Like, oh, excuse me. And she's like, she would be a great guest. And so we met for coffee, and I can't believe we haven't known each other before now.
Right.
But I told her we're best friends, and she is a little jealous now.
Love it. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And let's just hear a little bit more about your journey. And so what was the concert that you wrote for, the first concert?
Three Dog Night.
Three Dog Night. Did you even know who that was?
Yeah, I did. I kind of grew up, my parents were huge Bruce Springsteen fans. So I kind of, had a little bit of a understanding. But yeah, how funny that they asked, a 19-year-old girl in college to write the review of Three Dog Night. But it was out at Hawkeye Downs. And I just felt super lucky. I started journalism in high school, worked for the school newspaper, and decided I wanted to do that in college. So went to Drake University. They have an amazing journalism program. And would come back in the summer and knew a couple of my family knew editors at the Gazette. And so I just reached out and I was like, hey, I will write anything that you would like me to write and work on. And that was kind of fun back in the day. They also used to get CDs mailed to them, preview CDs. And so I would go into their offices and just look through all the CD stacks of, upcoming, what new releases were. So definitely a different time.
So for those younger listeners, do you know what a CD is? It is pre-iPod, pre-streaming music. It is called a compact disc.
Yep. Yeah, and companies
It
would
had
just, I
music
mean, like
on it.
all the record labels would send those out to
Yeah.
the press to listen
Yeah.
to and write about their upcoming releases. Like you didn't just get to like click a button and listen to it, stream it live, right?
Yeah,
So definitely
exactly.
different times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, that's awesome. And then from there, so I know, let's shout out your alma mater here in Cedar Rapids, which is
Well, I'm a graduate of Xavier High School. I
Xavier
actually
High
went to
School.
Regis High School for a couple of years and
Oh,
ended up
right,
being the first graduating class of Xavier High.
right, right.
Which was very fun and cool. And then my kids have gone there too. One has graduated and one is still there. So it's really kind of surreal sometimes to have that come full circle. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I went to Jefferson and so did my son, so I get it. It
love it.
feels
Yeah.
like sweet somehow, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes you're like, I was just here. What are you doing here? How
Right,
are you my
exactly.
child walking around here? I was just here. So
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So, what's going on right now? I'm going, nope, Jace, take that part out. I'm going to start over. Okay, I'm going to say, Katie, tell me something good.
Ooh, okay, something good. I kind of live in the world of something good. Um, I love this time of year. So I'm a big plant and flower and garden person. So I have been loving just in my own yard, kind of driving around town. Cedar Rapids has this really cool community garden down by in Ellis Park, right down by the river. And if you have never driven down by there, it's very fun to see the people kind of getting their gardens set up.
Yeah.
And everybody does a little bit different. Everybody's growing really different things. I think there's a lot of some of our immigrant population to Cedar Rapids is utilizing those spaces to grow some um, produce that is unique to their palate that you can't necessarily always just buy in our local grocery stores. So I just love this time of year because things are like growing and new and fresh, and it's fun to get outside. We've had a little rainy spell here
Oh,
in Cedar
I'm
Rapids, but
so over it. I know it's spring
right,
in Iowa, but like I am acting like I'm not freezing, but I am freezing right
right,
now. And this weekend
yeah,
does not look like it's going to be the summer like kickoff.
yeah, yep,
But I love spring in Iowa. I love seeing the trees just start to bloom and get their leaves, and it's
yeah,
really depressing when it starts happening the other way. So yes, I am with you. I
yeah,
love the colors. I love the green. I just love it. So yay, that's
yeah,
awesome. So I want to talk more about your book. And again, it's 100
yeah.
things to do in Cedar Rapids before you die. And let's just talk about how this opportunity came to you.
Yeah, so I have been from that, first concert review way back in the day. I have just been a freelance writer for a really long time. So I have a magazine journalism degree and decided I didn't want to move to New York City, which is where if you wanted to write on a magazine staff at that time, that's where you would live. So I just started freelance writing, and that has afforded me the opportunity to just write for a ton of different publications, different organizations. I've written, for newspapers, I've written for magazines, I've just done websites. One of the clients that I've gotten to do writing for is Cedar Rapids Tourism. So our local tourism board that kind of promotes all things Cedar Rapids and the surrounding area. And because of that, they were contacted by this publisher. So the book is done through Reedy Press, and they do these books all over the country. So that's kind of a hot tip for listeners that are kind of tuning in from other places. I don't know that they've gone international like you yet, so they're a little behind the curve. But these books happen all over the country, and some are statewide. So like there's 100 Things to Do in Iowa. That book also came out. So the way that they do it is they reach out to local writers because they want local experts to tell people about the places where they live, work, and play. So Reedy Press reached out to the Cedar Rapids Tourism, and they were like, hey, yeah, we think our friend Katie does a lot of writing for us. So they kind of connected us. We talked about the project. What was really cool is I had not done a book length project before. So I've done a ton of writing, but this was the first book opportunity that kind of came across my desk. And I was really excited. I don't think Cedar Rapids gets enough credit. I was born here, lived here. We lived in other places, moved around when I was younger, but came back here when I was in 8th grade. So I was here for 8th grade in high school. went away for college, tried the big city thing for a little bit, and then came back when I had my own kids. So I've been back in Cedar Rapids for, just about 21 years. And I just thought this will be such a great opportunity to give a place that I've loved for so long a little bit of credit, and tell people all about the cool things, right? Something good that's happening here, right? There's a lot of things to explore. So that's kind of how the book came across my desk. I also thought, they're going to reach out to other writers. And if I see this book sitting around in shops in Cedar Rapids and it doesn't have my name on it, I'm going to be annoyed. So
yeah, no, for sure.
So that's why I said yes. And I knew too, from the get-go, I think some people think like, gosh, 100 things. When I thought that, I was like, I can get to 50 things in a heartbeat. Like getting to 100 is not going to be a problem. And spoiler alert, there are more than 100 things in the book. So it was very fun. It was a very fun project to work on.
Well, shout out to CR Tourism. I follow them on TikTok and Instagram, and they do an incredible job of showcasing and spotlighting all of the great things that are happening in our area. So that's awesome that they connected you. I'm a big fan of how they are promoting us on social media. So
I totally agree.
Absolutely. And so when you think about the book, what is the most favorite bucket list item that you discovered while you were writing this?
I don't know that I can pick a favorite. That's like, picking a favorite child.
Sure.
I would say, I think I probably had the most fun writing the food and drink section. So the book is divided into a couple different categories, and food and drink is the first one. And that I joke, like I could have written the whole book about food and drink.
Yes, we are.
It's very cool. Cedar Rapids now. I think I just saw the statistic the other day, and it probably shifts a little bit, but I want to say we're at like 60% of the restaurants in Cedar Rapids are now locally owned, which is really cool to know that, you really get a unique dining experience when you're in the Cedar Rapids area. So
absolutely. It is such a feather in our cap, I think. And like my son, when we were all growing up with him, we never went to not never, but he had never had Pizza Hut when he went to his first birthday party. And my mom friend was like, how has Jackson never had Pizza Hut? I'm like, because there's 10 other places that are way better. And I used to work at Pizza Hut, and it doesn't always agree with my stomach, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pizza Hut. It's just, that's the way it is. So
this is not a sponsored podcast.
No, this is not. I mean, sorry, do better. But we are so fortunate to have so many great restaurants and local pubs and cafes and coffee shops. We really are fortunate. So I could see how that would be your favorite.
Yeah, the other thing that is fun about it is at the back of the book, there are some kind of ideas, and it's broken down not only by itineraries, but by season. So that was kind of fun too, to think about like, oh, okay, what season are we in? What are the things specific to that season that I could go and explore?
Oh, I love that. Yes.
My favorites change depending on, the time of year. Like I would say at the beginning of the year, when it's freezing cold and we don't necessarily really want to go outside, we get a lot of bald eagles here in Cedar Rapids. So going down to Prairie Park Fishery and watching these eagles is like just amazing, like incredible. You could be there and there could be 30 eagles.
I know. I was volunteering at Indian Creek Nature Center last week. I've never seen two fly together. I was like, has anyone else seen this? Of course, I was away from the group. So no one, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. We do get a lot of awesome bald eagle sightings. We're very lucky in that way as well.
Yeah. So favorites can change depending on the time of year too. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I just saw you recommend having a donut at Donut Land. I did that just yesterday. Shout out.
I'm a chocolate chip, strictly chocolate chip. If they don't have chocolate chip donuts available, I'm out. But my family loves the cherry chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The cherry and the blueberry are the top, but I did try
Yeah.
the birthday cake yesterday. It was
Oh,
delightful, and
okay.
I, I'm a fan. So shout out to
Okay.
Donut
I might
Land.
branch
Donut
out.
Land, yeah, for sure. Donut Land used to be here, when I was growing up, and then it closed, and it was like, gosh, and then we got a little Hertz donut action, but then they
Yeah.
revived and reignited Donut Land, and we're so happy that they're back.
Yep.
So let me ask you, what was something that you learned while making the book? What was the most surprising bucket list
Yeah. I
item that you
think
found?
I thought it was really interesting. One of the sections is like outdoor experiences. And so when I was working on the book, I kind of did an idea list, right? Like I had like 1 to 100, right? And I needed to fill that up. And so I was kind of generating ideas, and I wanted to make the 5 different sections as balanced as possible. Like I said, I could have done,
A whole
a whole
book
book
on
on just
eating,
restaurants.
yes.
So I was trying to balance them, and I was really surprised at how many outdoor opportunities kind of came to mind naturally, pun intended.
Right.
But that was really kind of a neat thing. I think maybe part of it too is just like kind of where my, hobbies and my appreciation for the outdoor world probably influenced a little bit. But I just really kind of kept thinking, wow, okay, like how am I going to work these
We
in so that I balance it all with these other sections? So, yeah, a lot of outdoor fun to be had all throughout the year here in the Cedar Rapids area. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
Have you climbed and conquered the Mount Trashmore Trail?
I have. And I'm going to shout out my little niece, my 3-year-old niece has done it multiple times, like walked it herself multiple times. So, if
Wow,
she can
that's
do it, anybody
impressive.
can do it. Yeah, yeah.
Anybody can
So,
do it. I did
yeah,
it
not
last
a
year.
lot of cities would tout their like Mount Trashmore, right? Their pile of trash. But I do, that's another thing, like, shout out to the city of Cedar Rapids and Lynn County Solid Waste. Like they reclaimed that site and now it is this incredible opportunity. You get to the top and it's a beautiful view of Cedar Rapids.
It
So
really is. It
we
really
all
is.
chuckle about it, but there's not a lot of places where you can climb a big pile of trash and see a, bird's eye view of the area.
Okay, now, to be fair, it has grown and it is not trash anymore. It is
Correct.
actually
Yes. Let's
trails.
specify. Yes.
But yes, that
Yes.
was our
Trails.
beautiful
Lovely.
view back in the day, was Mount Trashmore. And so it's very
Yeah.
fitting. And yes, repurposing that space and making it a part of the community in a more beautiful way
Exactly.
is awesome. And if you haven't done that, I highly suggest it. It it ain't easy, actually. It's like,
Yeah. I would
okay,
agree.
this is actually hiking. I'm a hiker now.
Yep. Yep. Don't go on a windy day. Just
Yeah,
make it
no
harder.
doubt. No doubt. And the other one I want to say I love is that the biking around on our trail system. If you
Yeah.
are an avid biker and are
Mhm.
looking for a fun place to spend an afternoon, um, Cedar Rapids has a great biking trail system. It's walking and biking, but
Yep.
gosh, we have a little bike group we call the Bike Buddies Cycling Crew. Shout out to my
Love
bike
it.
buddies.
Love it.
And it's just a part of our summer. It has been now for about 6 years, and we're so lucky. There is a little bit of construction,
Yeah.
FYI, going on down by Quaker Oats. So try to avoid that at this moment. But once that
Yeah.
is updated, it's going to be awesome because those railroad tracks are pretty steep before, so it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
But do you do a lot of biking?
That's one opportunity I don't take as much advantage of as I would like to. My daughter just the other day said, we need to bike ride this summer. We need to do it. So hopefully that's something we can, hold ourselves to. But I totally agree. I mean, it's an incredible system. You can get to cute little surrounding towns. I mean, you can just do an hour or you could do a whole day of biking around here. So I really think they've done an incredible job of making sure that things are getting connected and there's different areas to explore. And yeah, I know several groups of people that meet up and just have their regular rides once a week, just to get
Oh,
out
it's
and have some
so
fun. So,
fun. Yeah, it's so
yeah, I
fun.
love that.
And I would highly recommend, if you are interested, in renting one of the e-bikes, because that
Oh,
is how I
yes.
was introduced to e-biking, and that is the only way I can keep up with these people that bike all the time. So
Yes.
shout out to
Yes.
our little city of Cedar Rapids. We rent e-bikes, e-scooters. What
Yeah.
else? I feel like we do something else too, but it's such a great addition.
Yeah.
And again, like Cedar Rapids is a vibe, especially in the summer. And
Right?
I just hate that
Yep.
summer goes by so quickly because there's so much to do and see.
Yep.
And that's why we love CR. That's why we
I
love it.
agree. Yep. Where
So
I always say, let's pack it in. There's never a lack of things to do
there really
on
isn't.
any day of the week.
And
So
I remember when I was a young single person, I would think, oh, there's nothing to do. And now if I hear a young single person say that, I'm like, have you looked?
that's why I joke.
Actually, have you like explored? Because there are 100 things to do.
That is exactly my joke. I put it, I think, in the introduction of the book. I was like, part of me wrote this so that when my kids say there's nothing to do, I can literally hand them the book and say, look, there is. Now, I will say, writing a book like this gets a little tricky, right? Because there are places like that have closed, right? Or changed, or new things have opened since the book was published. So I always tell people this is like a conversation starter, right? So you are going to find things in the book that you can't go to anymore, but there are really cool new things that have opened, and there's things that have been around for a long time that I didn't include, right? So it's meant to be like a conversation and have your average neighbor, not your average neighbor, recommend something for you to do and get that conversation started about, what are the things to do around town? Where do we go? What do we need to appreciate? So these things do stick around.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's fun to be a part of getting that conversation going, and yeah, helping people realize that Cedar Rapids is a vibe and there is a lot to do and see and explore. You will find a couple things in the book, so it was a really interesting balance. Like I knew, I think they have one in the works for Iowa City, so like I didn't really want to put anything in Iowa City for it, but I did think, well, wait a minute, if you only come to Cedar Rapids and you're visiting and you don't know that like Field of Dreams is a short drive from
Right.
here, or the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library, right? Not every state has one of those. Like if you didn't know that, you might be like, well, that was a missed opportunity. So I sprinkled in just a couple of things that were a little farther from the Cedar Rapids core. But for the most part, it's Cedar Rapids, Marion, just kind of what's cool and happening right around here. So
I love it. One of the special things that we have in Cedar Rapids that not probably a lot of people outside of our area don't know about, or unless you have a deep root in Czech heritage, is we have the National Czech and Slovak Museum and Library. It's national. This is where they come when they want to celebrate their heritage, and it's just such a beautiful space. You learn so much. It's the handcrafted items, just all of it's just so unique, and we are also lucky. I feel like I'm saying that word a lot today, but we are fortunate that that is in our city as well. So
yeah, I agree. It's such a rich history. And I actually just read the other day that they just opened a new children's exhibit within the museum. So that's kind of a neat, especially summertime, right? Like there's going to be some hot days, maybe not right now, but it's going to get hot. So you're going to need an indoor activity. So take the kids over there and kind of check out that new exhibit. So
exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing some of your story. And I love this book. And we are going to be giving away one of these books, and we will have it signed by the author. And so I will share how to get this, but 100 things to do in Cedar Rapids before you die. And so what is on the horizon for you? You mentioned in your bio that you love children's literature. Is there anything coming in that arena?
Nothing like to announce. I still kind of work on ideas and submit for that. I am actually working with this publisher again, Reedy Press. They do a series called Secret. So like Secret Cedar Rapids. So that's in the works. I'm kind of in the idea generation stage of that, kind of thinking about all the kind of obscure, unique, quirky things that people may or may not know about Cedar Rapids. So I'll be working on that, over probably the next year or so to put that together. So that'll be another really fun opportunity. I think that one, when I did the 100 Things book, I didn't really tell a lot of people I was working on it in advance because I was like, listen, I got this, guys. Like, I can do 100 ideas, no problem. The Secret Cedar Rapids, this one I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about with people and seek out some different sources for information because it gets a little trickier. That one won't have 100 things. I want to say I have to do like 80 or so items in this book, which is still
that'll be tricky for sure.
So, a year from now on season, whatever, you'll be on season 4 or 5 at that point of the podcast, but we can come back and we can talk about all the secrets of Cedar Rapids.
Yes.
So,
there was a secret I learned on Saturday. We were at Big Grove for the TCR. It's drag or fundraising's a drag.
Yes.
And they're celebrating their 100th year.
Wow. Yeah.
And Grant Wood was the originator of Theater Cedar Rapids, which that's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. It started in his little studio.
Yeah. So. I'll put that on the list. I don't know. I mean, I have his studio on the list, but I didn't have anything TCR related on the list yet. So you're going to get a little credit here in the book.
Well, I was like, how cool is that? We are the second largest city in the state of Iowa. And we kind of forget that because Cedar Rapids is such a big, small town.
Exactly.
We know a lot of the same people. And so you do forget that we have a lot to celebrate for Cedar Rapids. So, well, I'm excited about that. And yes, please, once you get that one going, we are going to come back and talk about all the secrets.
I love it.
So next segment is for you to shout out about a favorite neighbor of yours.
Okay. Well, this kind of came to mind, and I'm glad that you said that you're kind of national. So I'm actually headed out this weekend to Denver to visit my brother. So I am the oldest of 4 siblings, and my brother that's closest in age to me, I'm the oldest. I don't know if you could get the bossy oldest sister vibes, but they're there.
I am too.
There you go. This is why we love each other. But so I'm headed out to Denver to visit my brother. He's lived out there probably for 15 years and is just the best tour guide of the whole Denver area. We're going up to Estes Park for a couple days to go into Rocky Mountain National Park and see the Stanley Hotel. He works at the Denver Public Library. And he is also a very talented writer, not necessarily professionally, but he, a couple of years ago, decided to undertake, he realized he was kind of on this journey accidentally of visiting state capitals, right? So he had visited a couple of state capitals. He also happened to have to go to the restroom while there. So he was like, hey, what if this is a thing that I try to visit every state capital in the country, and created a blog. It's called Crapitals. The Crapitals. And he definitely lets you know that he's visited the restroom. Actually, sometimes you see because some of the bathrooms are really old and ornate. So some of the architecture kind of makes the blog. But for the most part, he's showing you the history of the building and telling you a little about the history of the state. He's not necessarily detailing his bathroom visit so much as to tell you that he was there. But they're really fascinating and funny and interesting. And he is, I think he just visited his 30th capital. So in a span of several years, he has just made this a priority to kind of, when he travels, find a way to make it to one of the capitals. I actually had the privilege of going with him to the Indiana State Capitol. And he always takes, if they have a guided tour, he'll take that tour and kind of incorporate some of that into the blog post, lots of cool photos. And then also a little bit more about kind of that, the city that we visited when we were in Indy. We realized that there was a TJ Maxx, 1 block from the Capitol. Our mom is a huge Maxinista, right? Same too. But our mom is like the ultimate. And my brother and I laughed so hard. We were like, "Here, we're at the Capitol and we can see a TJ Maxx." So we sent her a picture. So, you know, we just work in fun little tidbits like that. But yeah, so he's taken several friends and family members along on these tours, and he's well on his way to getting all the way to 50. And it's a fascinating blog, and he is a fascinating, wonderful human. And definitely not your average neighbor.
Not your average neighbor at all. And how do we find his blog? Do you know what the website is?
I always forget if it's crapitals.com. I think it's crapitals.com. We may have to I'll have to send it to you so you can link to it, because I always forget the exact. He's on Instagram as well, and always links to when he has a new post. I think he's a little behind on his, I don't want to shame him here, but because I know he's beating himself up. He's got a couple in the hopper that he needs to write and post, but
in the hopper. That's kind of funny when you're talking about crap.
Right? Getting prepped. His secret is coffee. He's always drinking a coffee. Like, that gets things going.
It helps. It definitely helps.
Yep.
And I really hope that I'm able to connect with him so that I can learn more about his fascination of beautiful capitals, because they really are beautiful, as well as crapitals. My girlfriend, I think I told you this when we met, my girlfriend loves Snapchats of us taking selfies in bathrooms and then tagging it. And she said that her dream is that she's going to make wallpaper out of all of the, shitter pics.
Yep. I love it. Well, you could definitely get some crapital locations probably into the wallpaper mix. So
yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, I just thank you again for joining me today and spending time with me. And it's been such a pleasure to be introduced to you and know you. And I thank you so much.
Same. Thank you. I feel so honored to be a part of this and share more. And I love that you're doing this. This is such an important way to connect with people and share and just spread some joy and goodness out in the world. So thank you for what you do, and keep up the good work, and have an awesome season 2.
Thank you. I'm so excited. And Katie, remind us how we can find you. Your website is?
Just my KatieMillsGiorgio.com. I'm kind of terrible about updating that, but that's how you can kind of get connected to me. It has my contact info on there, and some of my writing and projects that I worked on. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, if you need a VA, I've got one in mind.
Okay.
Whoop, whoop.
Love
it. Well, thank you, neighbors, so much for joining me for my first episode of season 2. And don't forget to like, follow, share, listen, tell us what your favorite thing to do in Cedar Rapids is, or something that you didn't know about Cedar Rapids, because we are very excited about sharing secrets as well. So you guys have a great week. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.